Welcome to the part 2 of this series where I teach you how to build a contact form. Now in this video I'm going to show you how to build a contact form using a thank you message as a response. And this message is going to be displayed on the same screen as the page you're submitting the contact form. Now I'm going to use a technology called AJAX, which is asynchronous JavaScript, to submit the information asynchronously to the backend, that is the server. Asynchronously basically means that it happens in the background while you're doing other tasks. Now this is the actual code of my website. The contact form is same as earlier. I have a new tag here which is called contact message 1, which is going to display the response that I want to display to the person on the same page. So here I would be displaying the response on this HTML tag. It's a div element which has a class of contact message 1. The other important thing here is I'm going to use jQuery, and I like jQuery because it makes writing JavaScript more simpler, and I think Ajax is also a part of jQuery. For that reason I'm using this, and this is the most important code of the website. So this code here is going to target the form which is on my page, and when this form is submitted and when I click on this, it's actually going to prevent it from going to the next page, which is because of this code that return false is going to prevent it from going to the other page, which is contact.php, and the other aspects I will just get to in a moment. So as you can see here, this contact.php, this usually when you submit a form it goes there, but here I'm going to use a different method and I'm going to send it to this page using the URL here. So this contact.php, I want it to come here. The method, I want the type to be of post. So these different things I'm going to set it dynamically using the code, and the data part is going to be the form, whatever we have in the input fields here. These things I'm going to capture these data and I'm going to put it as a JavaScript object using key value pairs, which I will just explain in a moment. And so these things, as I said, I'm going to fetch it all dynamically because I don't want to keep manually entering all these values if I have two different forms on the website. This will automatically fetch the data and it makes it life much more easier. Then I also have so let us see. So this form here is going to fetch the form which we have, and you see the action is going to fetch whatever is on the action tag. So I want that this form which is on my page, I want you to fetch the attribute which has an action, an attribute of action, and that's what it goes back to this form here. It sees that the attribute action has got a value of contact.php, and that's exactly what's going to get stored in this particular variable. Same thing for the method. I'm looking for, in this particular form, I'm looking for an attribute of method, and whatever values assigned to that, I'm going to store it here. So that's going to store post. The next thing which I want to store is the data, which I'm going to use as a JavaScript object, and the way I do it I'll just explain in a moment. So it sees that what is the form, and I'm looking for any form which has got attribute of name. So it sees that okay, the name is first name here, so this is going to be assigned the value which I have on my form. So the key is going to be first name, and the value is going to be the value which is entered on this input box as a text. So I'm creating a JavaScript object which has a key as the variable name and the value as what is entered in by the user. So like that, same for email ID, the key is going to be email ID and the password is going to be John Doe at whatever person has entered. Same thing for mobile number and the mobile number which is entered here. So once he submits that, it's going to make an object in JavaScript which is going to form the key value pair as I just mentioned, and that's happening as by the following code. Next is the success. So once we get a response on the server, I want this particular callback function to be executed, and the response is basically what the PHP code sends us back. So if you go back to that example, this is the response we're getting. Either it is a message is sent successfully, that is this paragraph tags and all that, or it gives you the error message which is between paragraph tags. And this is my response from the server, because this is the only line of code it gives back. So that's what's going to come in the response. I can either log it if you want to just see it, but my main intention of doing this is for setting the div element which has a class of contact message 1. So I'm saying that I want you to find this particular HTML tag which I showed you here, and I want you to set the HTML of that as the response which you get from the server. So that the way I've configured it is going to display the message sent in this position of the HTML. And it depends what upon the response. If it's error, it will show you this message. If it is a success, it will show you the message sent. So once I submit it, you can see that the message sent has come just below where I mentioned, that is below the contact form. Now this data, as I said earlier, it is going to fetch based when I submit the form. That's when it's going to be fetched, and that's how all this data is going to be sent, and it doesn't submit to a new page because of the return false. Once again, the action part is going to be captured using this code that I've written here. What type of variable HTTP request is going to be captured in this method variable, and the data is going to be captured by the following code which I just explained. And all this is basically trying to send the same data which was as the earlier method, but using JavaScript, and this way you prevent it from submitting to the next page. You do the AJAX, and then once it's successful, you would run this particular code which displays the response on the HTML tag which I mentioned here. I'll just show you that this is the exact same place. I'll just open and inspect the element. You can see that this is the same div which I mentioned, div contact message 1, which has a class of contact message 1. Now with that out of the way, see, we completed the way this using a thank you page, but I feel it is not efficient, because if someone clicks the submit button now, the data is still in the same input boxes, so they can submit the same thing multiple times. And there are little more efficient ways of making this form, and I'm exactly going to show you how to do this in the next video. So until then, stay tuned.